Okay, today we'll be reading a fanfiction called The Last Crusade. I warn you, this will make you cry. It is a sad fic, but let's do it anyway. Sorry, I have a bit of a cough. It was written by Paraderpy, but it is on fanfiction by somebody named Paradigmshine, because Paraderpy is not on fanfiction.net. Alright. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Apple Bloom held her breath as she gazed out the clubhouse window. The sun was beginning to dip below the tree line as the sky turned a soft, beautiful orange. Night began to creep its fingers across the sky, silently snuffing out the day. Apple Bloom rushed over to the other window facing Sweet Apple Acres. They'd told her they'd come from the Apple family barn this time. This time was right. Apple Bloom had already attempted the math in her head several times over to confirm that. She had always been an impatient filly. Well, perhaps not as impatient as Scootaloo. But when something was on her mind, she just couldn't let it go. Nothing would change that. Her heart beat feverishly, and she began to feel as if she were breaking into a cold sweat. Although she felt no moisture, just the sensation. She remembered that feeling. It meant anxiety. She'd felt it often enough before. Whether it was from her sister Applejack's annoyance with her from some clumsy mistake, or perhaps just some bad feelings before one of Scootaloo's ridiculous Cootie-Mark Crusader schemes. The filly smiled softly. They'd been through so much together, the three of them. Just the thought of Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle made Apple Bloom's heart skip a beat in joy. Her thoughts turned to her sister Applejack. Oh, how Apple Bloom wished she would come to the clubhouse tonight too, but the filly knew it couldn't be. Applejack was just too old for this. She was too old. She was too mature for this mumbo-jumbo, as she would call it. Sorry, I have a cough. It saddened Apple Bloom to think about it, but she knew too well how her stubborn sister was. She just couldn't see things the way she just couldn't see things the way her friends could. But at least she had them. Being a blank flank, the fear of loneliness has always plagued Apple Bloom. The fear of being shut out, having no pony to talk to. Initially, the growing pain had been a curse, but it was because that very curse she had befriended Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle in the first place. And they were incredible friends, the best any pony could ask for. Apple Bloom knew for sure. These days more than ever, they would never, ever leave her. The sounds of footsteps broke Apple Bloom away from her thoughts. She sniffed and quickly wiped her eyes with a hoof. It was still a habit, and she certainly wanted to do as much as she could to look strong in front of her friends. They had to see that she was all right. She looked up the clubhouse door again and saw two small figures making their way along the path. Apple Bloom could barely suppress the widest grin she'd made in a long time. The filly quickly sidled herself up against the wall, ready to jump out at any unsuspecting pony to open the clubhouse door. A knock resounded from the door. It opened slowly. Apple Bloom? We're back. Are you in here? Sweetie Belle's voice was as sweet as her name. Of course she's in here. Where else would she be, huh? Scootaloo's voice, though rough and blunt, was just as sweet to Apple Bloom's ears. Well, maybe she's Boo! Apple Bloom leapt out of her hiding place, all the while scrunching her face up, trying to look as terrifying as possible. Sweetie Belle screamed and shot out of the clubhouse like a bullet. Scootaloo's eyes went wide, but but her eyelids soon dropped unamused. That's original, the orange filly deadpanned, a smirk creeping on her face. Oh, shut it, Scootaloo. Oh, shut it, Scoot. I'm mighty scary. You call that scary? I'm 10 times more scary than you, and I'm not even... Scootaloo's voice trailed off. She looked to the side and cleared her throat. Hey, Sweetie Belle, come on, stop being such a scaredy pony. It's only Apple Bloom. There was a silence. Then it was the clambering of hooves, and a white filly burst through the door, embracing Apple Bloom with her outstretched forelegs. Apple Bloom threw her strong pony facade out of the window and returned a hug best as she could, dry tears running down her cheeks as she pressed her head to Sweetie Belle's soft mane. I'd be lying if I didn't say I missed you too like heck, Apple Bloom sobbed into Sweetie's mane. I know you guys had that trip to Canterlot, and I really do hope you had fun. And I know y'all can't stay here 24/7, but sometimes I just don't know what to do. All I got is my thoughts to keep me company. I can't do this, sweetie. I can't. Apple Bloom looked up at her friends to see her own feelings reflected on their faces. Even Scoot's eyes were welling up with tears. She didn't like seeing them like this, not for her sake. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to put this on you. How was Applejack? Sweetie's voice cracked. She's great, Apple Bloom. Yeah, almost as cool as Remo Dash these days. Apple Bloom smiled at the mention of Dash. As always, she was still Scootaloo's hero. Apple Bloom hadn't been in Podyville much the last couple of months. She really wanted to go back into town, but it was just too close to the spot. She'd gone as far as the Fluttershy's cottage. It was nice to see the kind yellow Pegasus again, but she really just didn't see every pony else anymore, except for those that stopped by the farm every now and then. Why don't you go back into the farmhouse? Scootaloo asked. I mean, you could at least see your family more often. Apple Bloom shook her head. No, I can't. I tried a couple times, but I think I caused them more trouble than anything else. I think they can hear me. I always cause a racket. I don't want to bother them or worse, scare them. How could they be afraid of you, Apple Bloom? How could they be afraid of you, Apple Bloom? Sorry, I got a text. How could they be afraid of you, Apple Bloom? Sweetie Belle frowned. You're the nicest pony I've ever met. We're not afraid of you. No pony should be. Well, y'all can see me, can't you? Of course, Sweetie said, matter-of-factly, but her face soon darkened at the sight of her friends' faces. What? Apple Bloom sighed heavily. Scootaloo looked down, but her face hardened with a determined anger. That's it! Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle jumped. My mom doesn't know I'm recording right now. I'm sorry. That's it! Apple Bloom and Sweetie Belle jumped at the orange filly's sudden outburst. I can't take this anymore. We're showing you to Applejack. Come on! Scoot, you're crazy. You know what'll happen. They'll think you've gone bonkers. Please. No, okay? I'm not just gonna let you stay here all alone and see you like this all the time. You're really lonely, Apple Bloom. I can't just sit and watch. Scootaloo shut her eyes tight as a new stream of tears were beginning to form. I can't. Apple Bloom trotted up to her and placed her hoof around her shoulder. Look, Scoot, I know how you feel. Gosh, I'd feel the same way if I were in your situation. But It just ain't happening that way, and you know that. I know you guys care about me, and in the same way, I worry about y'all too. I just... Scootaloo's voice was weak. I just don't know what to do anymore. I worry about you all the time, and it just makes me feel empty inside. Well, Apple Bloom's voice became hard. I've been doing a lot of thinking, girls. I've had a lot of time to think. Maybe I've taken too long to make up my mind, but I know it's gotta be done. She swallowed. Now, Sweetie Belle's face was a mess of worry and confusion. She didn't know what her friend meant by all of this, and a part of her didn't want to find out. She realized Scootaloo must have known better as tears began to blind in the orange filly's sight. The spot? No, Apple Bloom. I got it, Scoot. I think every pony's got it at some point. Please don't worry about me. Apple Bloom looked out the clubhouse window. Although the night had settled in, a brilliance of light, more spectacular than anything Apple Bloom had ever witnessed, sparkled in the distance down in Ponyville. I've been avoiding that place this whole time, but I'm not afraid of it anymore, Scoot, you see. I've heard her talk to me. She's been talking to me a lot lately. She tells me it'll be okay, and I believe her with all my heart. The princess wouldn't lie. Scootaloo wiped her eyes and blinked at her friend. Princess Celestia? Apple Bloom nodded. But how? I really don't know. I was confused about it as you are. It's hard to explain, but I just know she's down there, waiting for me. Sweetie Belle had been silent through Apple Bloom's revelation. Looked at the yellow filly, the yellow earth pony with wide eyes. I don't get it. What's going on, Apple Bloom? Apple Bloom opened her mouth to speak, but as hard as she tried, no words would come out. She looked at her friend, sadly stuttering. Scootaloo managed a soft smile and cut in. We're going on another crusade, sweetie. The orange Pegasus gathered her friends into a group hug. One last crusade. Okay, so I'm pretty much running out of time right now. I can only record up to 15 minutes, so let's just end that video here. I will post a part 2 as soon as possible.